Greetings, I'm Forrest Powell, and welcome to Alaska's Veterans Day video, as we honor Alaska's veterans and their family members. The sponsor of this video is the Commissioner of the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs and Adjutant General of the Alaska National Guard, Major General Torrence Sachs. You will see several groups of people in this video, in this studio, not wearing a mask. They are family members. This year's theme is Generation Veteran.
I'm Brian Sass. I served in the United States Air Force from 1985 to 2007.
I'm Cassandra Sass. I served in the United States Army from 2005 to 2014.
I'm Austin Sass. I served in the United States Navy from 2015 to 2019.
I am Cody Sass. I served in the United States Marine Corps 2014 to 2018.
Generational veteran to me is bonding. Same communication, same language, same lingo. It's when they talk about a brotherhood and sisterhood in the military, it actually brought us a little bit closer. Like I said, I was Air Force. They all chose a different branch for different reasons, and I'm very, very proud of them for serving.
Generational veteran to me is just hearing all the stories and seeing how big the military is, but knowing that my parents and grandparents, even though it might not have been a big role, they still did their jobs properly and some sort of community service that I like to follow.
I just remember listening to Grandma talk to us about how when she first joined, so for me it's listening to cool stories and hearing just how things have changed and yet how they're the same as well.
The military's pretty much always been a part of my life. Looking back, it's just about every member of my family has been in the military, primarily Air Force, unfortunately. We weren't, pushed to go into the military. We all chose individually our own branches, and also when we felt like was the right time to serve.
I am Irene Washington. I served with the Alaska Army National Guard from 1986 to 2005. Generation veteran to me is the descendants. I am the daughter of an Alaska Territorial Guard veteran. From my father, all the way down to my aunties and uncles. My brother came back from Vietnam, so I joined the Alaska Army National Guard because of them.
My name is Charles Hermans. I served in the United States Navy Seabees from 1966 to 1996.
My name is Dan Deemer. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 2010 to 2014.
What does generation mean to me? It's a privilege that I have to pass down my children, my grandchildren, something that I did and was proud of. Just like my father before me, who served in World War II in Europe, I was proud of him for what he did. And I'm definitely proud of Daniel here for what he has accomplished and what he did in his service.
But for me, I'd have to say generation would be who came before me and laid down the advancements for my life. And I would have to say, for me to go into the service in which I did was a great part from my grandfather, who came before me and set the guidelines in which I wanted to follow.
I am Phyllis Cunningham, United States Army. I served in the 1980s.
I am James Cunningham, United States Air Force, 2010 to 2018.
A generation veteran to me is following in the footsteps of other women who have served our great country, the United States of America, to continue to serve and to honor our country in the things that we do and in the things that we say. And to those women who feel as though they are not veterans, I want to encourage you to know that if you put that uniform on for one day, you are considered a veteran.
A generation veteran to me is someone who follows in the footsteps of those who came before them. My parents came before me. They served the United States Army, and when it was my turn to serve, I chose the United States Air Force. There's a commitment that you make to not only to yourself, but to a bigger cause. And I'm very proud to have served this country. And to those coming after me, I salute you, and those who still serve, I salute you also.
I'm Brigadier General William Radiff. I joined the military in 1988 and I've continued to serve to today. I'm a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Canadian Armed Forces. The military was something for me that I always wanted to join from about the age of 7 when I first saw a fighter aircraft doing a simulated attack on a base in Baden where my father was a teacher for the military. I'm a generational veteran with a grandfather who served in the military during the Second World War as a military policeman in Canada, acting as a bodyguard for the Prime Minister. My great uncle also served. He was a sergeant in the infantry and he served overseas fighting from village to village as an infanteer. I spent a lot of time with my great uncle growing up, but it was not until after I spent time in the military and actually flew an airplane over his house for his 70th birthday that he sat down and told me some of his stories. I'm very proud of the service in the family and it really makes me a generational military member, a generational veteran.
Hi, my name's Dino Belligati, United States Marine Corps. I served from 1975 through 1978. Hoorah!
Hi, my name's Wyatt Mosier. I'm currently serving in the United States Army National Guard. I joined in 2019 and I'm still currently serving.
Generation veteran to me is following in my father's footsteps. Actually, my 2 uncles served in World War II at Guadalcanal. My father spent 22 years in the Marine Corps, pushed a lot of recruits, and I decided to join the Marines at the age of 17, basically because of my dad. And it's just been an honor to serve my country and follow in my father's footsteps.
So I'm currently serving, and I'm serving to carry on the tradition of serving my country, and it's been more than an honor. It's been the best decision I ever made in my life.
I am a generation veteran.
I am a future generation veteran.
I am a generation veteran.
Je suis une vétéran familial.
We are generation veterans.
We are generational veterans.
We are generation veterans.
It is now my pleasure to introduce a message from the Governor, Mike Dunleavy, followed by Major General Torrance Sachs, then Brigadier General William Radiff, Deputy Commander, Alaskan NORAD Region, and then finally, Verdi Bowen, the Director of the Alaska State Office of Veterans Affairs, to announce the Governor's 2021 Veterans Advocacy Award recipient.
Veterans Day is a solemn occasion when Americans take the time to recognize and appreciate our fellow citizens who have sacrificed so much in service of our great country. Our veterans have been called upon to selflessly serve not only in defense of our freedom and security, but in defense of strangers around the world who hold the same values and beliefs that we do. We as Alaskans are all proud of our men and women who have served on behalf of our great country. We can't thank our servicemen and women enough for their sacrifices. And on behalf of Alaska, I want to thank all of our men and women who have served in our armed forces.
One of my favorite quotes regarding veterans and military service and corresponding sacrifice comes from then General Dwight Eisenhower towards the end of World War II. In the final choice, a soldier's pack is not so heavy as a prisoner's chains. The United States and the entire world had just been through the bloodiest conflict in history. Much had been sacrificed in terms of lives, livelihoods, pain, and hardship. As the sage adage goes, all gave some and some gave all. Sacrifice is the common factor. For all those who have come before me and to those who are currently serving, thank you for your sacrifice. You have given something of yourselves, selflessly, courageously, and with honor. We enjoy and are grateful for the liberties and privileges that your efforts have given us. That sacrifice has come at a price, as does anything of value, but has provided something for all of us, something that must be watched with continuous vigilance, something never to be taken for granted. Of course, that is our freedom, our way of life. To this end, today we celebrate Veterans Day in honor of all those who have come before, whose legacy is lasting and profoundly appreciated. Veterans Day was once a celebration of the silencing of the cannons of World War I, which saw staggering death and suffering. Some estimates put the military death toll at over 16 million, with a civilian number at over 35 million souls. The need to recognize and say thanks to those who fought for freedom, who fought for family, and for their fellow man was necessary and cathartic. It was a joyous but somber day when peace was declared at the end of World War I on the 11th of November, 1919. Originally referred to as Armistice Day, it was recognized on the 11th day of November, the 11th month, at the 11th hour. With those historical beginnings, it now offers an opportunity for remembrance. We recognize and show gratitude for those who are serving, those who have served, and those who have died in our country's service. This is why we are paying honor today on this Veterans Day, saying thank you to all who have stood on that line in whatever capacity and said, "It is safe to sleep tonight. I've got the watch." Since the beginning of our constitutional republic, military service members have dedicated themselves to serve our country. From the American Revolution to 2 world wars, to include campaigns in the Aleutian Islands, specifically in Attu, Kiska, and Unalaska, we also remember more recent wars of Korea, Vietnam, Middle East, and ongoing operations around the globe. Just to name a few. Soldiers including the Alaska Territorial Guard, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, Guardians, and Merchant Marines have sacrificed and given their best to keep our nation and our allies safe and strong. Accordingly, today we honor veterans of the United States military. While we are speaking of sacrifice, I must mention the story of Specialist Daniel Lee Harmon, with the permission of his family, who affectionately call him Danny or Uncle Danny. Specialist Harmon was from Woody Island in southwestern Alaska, off Kodiak Island. During the Vietnam War, Daniel Lee Harmon joined the Alaska National Guard. He completed his basic training in Fort Lewis, Washington. His older brother Paul, who was the first of many in the Harmon family to join the National Guard, was stationed in Washington while in the Navy. Paul remembers fondly that they were able to get a beer or two on base before his younger brother Danny went to Vietnam. In July of 1966, Harmon began his tour in Vietnam. One day on patrol, his unit was ambushed. He was only 21 years old. They were taking heavy casualties when Specialist Harmon rushed into the battle. Taking fire from all angles, Harmon pulled 2 men to safety, Mr. Kuhn and Mr. Bonnertz. I am happy to say that Mr. Kuhn went on to start a family, though Mr. Bonnertz died shortly after from the injuries he incurred in the ambush. If you are familiar with this story, you know that Specialist Harmon did not stop there. Undeterred by the heavy fire, he went back in yet again. Tragically, Harmon was fatally shot while attempting to save another soldier's life. He passed shortly after. For these heroic acts of bravery and the altruistic sacrifice, Daniel earned the Bronze Star for his bravery in 1967. It was awarded in 2007. In 2022, we will be naming the Kodiak Armory in Harmon's honor. I very much look forward to the day of the naming ceremony. Hopefully, I will be able to meet Harmon's niece, who affectionately calls him Uncle Danny, and remembers high school dances at that very same armory. It is my goal to name every armory across the state of Alaska in memory of the sacrifice of a great Alaskan veteran who has gone before, as it is said, lest we ever forget. Along with Daniel, we remember the brave men and women who served in places such as Gettysburg, in the trenches of France, the beaches of Normandy, the deserts of Africa, and the jungles of Vietnam, and other countries including Iraq and Afghanistan. Our nation's military history goes back to even before our founding. Our military members have served in their communities and fought in every major American conflict since the first militia regiments were organized in North America in 1636. Much has changed since the first muster, but the men and women of the armed forces are still helping their neighbors and defending their nation. In Alaska, for example, we routinely support critical search and rescue, air surveillance and warning, air defense, tactical and strategic airlift, space surveillance and ballistic missile defense missions, and many others for the nation. Our veterans perform these missions, paving the way for those of us who are still serving to have a strong foundation and legacy of strength and pride, which we continue to build upon as we honor all veterans on this special day. We must also recognize that because of our veterans, our country still stands, our founding principles still shine. Nations around the world that once knew nothing but fear now know the blessings of freedom. Speaking of blessings, I challenge all of us to thank a veteran. It is much easier to do so here in Alaska with roughly 10 times the number of veterans as compared to the rest of the country. Should you be at the commissary on Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson or downtown Juneau and recognize a vet, stop and say thank you. Thank you for your service. It will be appreciated. Also, we can thank a vet and our families. Mine in particular, I count my wife and father who served in the Army, my wife's grandmother, who recently passed at age 100, a Marine in World War II, and my father-in-law and uncle with Navy and Air Force service respectively, just to name a few. It is never lost on me in family gatherings the importance of those who have served. It is never lost on me serving in this wonderful state, the true blessings given to all of us through the efforts of those in uniform who have gone before. You have fought for our country, our state, our families, and of course those serving at your right and left. The military is in many ways an extended family, and we take care of our own. The bonds of service, whether it be stateside or overseas, are strong, and the friendships and memories lasting. Again, thank you for your sacrifice in keeping secure our freedoms and way of life.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field.
I have the distinct honor today to introduce our Veterans Advocate of the Year. Each year we have the honor to announce someone who is a stellar performer in their local communities. And the great thing about this is we get to recognize individuals that stand out amongst other veterans. This year I would like to recognize someone from the island of Prince of Wales who has done outstanding work for the veterans on that island. This individual has accomplished massive outreach efforts for each veteran that's on the island. She actually has a telephone number for each person that has served, and she does complete research for each individual to help them to gain those benefits that they have earned through their time in the service. She works tirelessly in her community, and she does great outreach. The best outreach she has done to date is, for example, Welcome Home Vietnam Veteran claims clinics. She has done claims clinics on the island as well as assisting veterans to utilize travel to and from healthcare appointments. She has set up a center of excellence for the veterans on the island to gain access to VA benefits, and she's done all of this with no pay. And her name is Jan Trojan.
Thank you all for joining us to honor those who served.